Ladies and gents, welcome back to a brand new video. We are in the winter months and it is freezing outside. Motivation can be low to get out and shoot, and if you're like me, I barely go out in winter, although there is some good opportunities out there. But if you are one of them types of people who prefers to stay indoors, you can still shoot some creative photos at home. So today I'm going to be giving you 5 different creative at home ideas so you can still practice your craft and shoot at home. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so for idea number 1, we're going to start off very simple and just simply shoot a self-portrait. Now this one is probably for the beginners out there. Self-portraits can be really fun and creative to do. There's so many different options out there to get creative, but right now all I'm going to do is keep it simple. To shoot a self-portrait, now technically you can use any lens you want, but if you want some really good results, you can pick one of these up. This right here is the Nifty 50, a lens which is basically very good for portraiture. You can actually pick them up for a pretty cheap price, but what actually makes this lens very good is the fact that it goes down to f1.8, basically giving you a really nice blurry background. Once again, great for portraiture. And second of all is lighting. Now once again, we're going to keep it nice and simple and literally use window light. And third of all, to actually shoot the photo, there's 2 different options. You can either put your camera on a self timer, or if you're like me, I prefer to use a wireless shutter remote. Once again, if your camera is compatible, you can actually pick them up quite cheap, maybe around like the £20 mark to £30 mark. These things are very much worth your money, trust me. I use mine all the time. So with all that said, let's get on with shooting some photos. Oh, and I forgot, you actually also need a tripod to hold your camera. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so for idea number 1 being a portrait, let's get a little bit more creative and do a similar thing but as a double exposure. If you have no idea what a double exposure is, technically it is basically 2 photos merged into one, and you can achieve this in 2 different ways, either in camera or during Photoshop. But today we're going to be focusing and practicing our skills during in camera, and it is actually really simple to do. So to achieve this, what you're going to want to do is grab your camera and head over into the menu. Now I'm going to be using Canon, but if you do have a different brand of camera, I'm sure there'll be either a tutorial on how to navigate to the multiple exposure settings. Once you are in the menu, you're going to want to stay on that first menu setting. Now at the top you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to want to go over to number 3, and you want to scroll down until you see multiple exposure. Click on that and click enable. Now you are able to change all sorts of different settings in here, but I'm going to try and keep it simple. You can even change how many exposures you actually want to shoot. You can take multiple, or normally most people just take 2. So with that said, I'm just going to leave it as that. And so now you've got them settings set, you're now ready to go and shoot some photos. Okay, so to start things off, you're going to want to take a picture of a subject, or probably yourself as a self-portrait, but this time you really want to focus on basically silhouetting yourself. So to do that, I'm once again going to take a self-portrait, but this time have my window as my background. That way, because it's quite overexposed, well, it's going to be overexposed out there, it's going to basically silhouette myself. And to also achieve this, I'm going to actually move up my aperture, so it's maybe around like f5.6, maybe more. That way I should be able to get the silhouette effect. Once you have taken the photo, it should kind of look like this. And so what you're going to want to do from here is, with the multiple exposure, you're going to want to take a second photo. And so what you're going to want to look for is texture. So what I'm using is this random box I have. And once you basically lay over the photo you've just taken, you can kind of see that other photo, the texture poking through, creating a double exposure. Now you can actually completely invert what I've just said. You can also take a photo with a darker background and yourself being lighter, and you can get results like this. To be honest, I probably should have done this in the first place, as I actually prefer that method. But with double exposures, you can just get really creative with them. It can take a couple of tries to get them right, but once you do, you can just come up with some really interesting photos. Okay, idea number 3, let's try something a little bit different. What you're going to need is something that you're able to put water inside, which is see-through. Bigger the better, I suppose, and a product. What we're going to be doing is basically water product photography. It's probably going to be easier for me to show you rather than actually explain. So let's get on with it. Okay, so essentially what we're going to be doing is dropping this ring into that water and capturing the bubbles basically going round it. Now the key thing here to actually get it done right is basically lighting. Now I am going to try and keep it simple and use one light. Now this is a K&F Concept cob light, which is actually a pretty cheap light for what it can do. But not only that, I am also going to be reflecting the light using a board that I made ages ago. This is just literally a piece of cardboard with paper stuck onto it, just to basically help reflect the light. Okay, so this is the setup that I've come up with. You can't even see behind there, but essentially what it is the glass filled with water. The cob light is pointing straight down towards it. The reflector is reflecting the light in front of it, so when the item actually gets dropped, the item is going to be hopefully lit. Now once again, to achieve this, I've got a really high shutter speed and also quite a high aperture, because technically we don't want anything really blurred. We want it to be all sharp, and obviously we want to capture the movement, so we're going to need a high shutter speed. Okay, moment of truth. Is this even going to work? Because I've never even tried this yet. Yo, it could work. This might take a few tries. Yo, I think we've done it. Okay, I can't lie, that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Took a lot longer than I thought it was going to do as well. But we did end up getting some decent results. If I carried on longer, I probably would have got some better ones, but I'm going to leave him there. To be fair, this probably would have been a bit easier too if I had a bit of a bigger tank, maybe something like a fish tank. So if you've got a fish tank at home, maybe this would work, obviously without the fish in there. Okay, so the next idea I have is once again a little bit different, and that is to shoot some food photography, but more specifically almost like macro food photography. Everyone always has food in the house, so this could literally work with anything. But what I'm going to be using is some eggs and also some blueberries. So the way I'm actually going to shoot this is simply put each item in a different bowl, and we're basically going to be focusing on almost like textures and working with lighting and shadows. Honestly, I know this sounds really random, but once you do this, you can get some really nice, clean looking results. I know this probably looks really random, but essentially all I've done is place the eggs in the bowl. As for the light itself, I'm simply using that single cob light and also using this reflector again to help bounce the light. But this is why it can be really fun to do, because you get to basically play with lighting and see how it wraps around different shapes, i.e. the eggs, and how basically that creates shadows and light. And if you're a beginner, this will kind of really help you understand how lighting works. As for the blueberries, we're going to be doing basically the exact same thing. Apart from, I'm actually going to be sprinkling a little bit of water on there, so there's basically like water droplets on the blueberries. Basically can give a really crispy effect. It can really help food photography when you start seeing these type of moistures and detail that you wouldn't normally see with the human eye. And well, you would see them with a human eye, you just would have glanced past them and not appreciated the detail that's actually surrounding the subject. Okay, so for the fifth and final idea I've got for you guys is, once again, we're going to be doing some more product photography, but this time a little different. We're actually going to make something levitate. I am sure we've all got a pair of shoes somewhere in the house, so this time we are going to actually make this shoe levitate. And it can be a lot easier than you think. Now, technically, you don't need a white backdrop, but I am planning on using this just simply because I have got one. But if you don't, I'm sure you've got a white wall somewhere in your house, or anywhere will actually really do. Okay, so technically there is a couple of ways to do this. Now, the first method is kind of in camera. Throw the shoe as you take the photo, and that should hopefully catch it mid-air. But I'm going to actually do it with Photoshop this time and actually merge two photos together. First photo is holding the shoe in front of me and taking a photo as like that, and the second photo is basically me in the background, basically going to be levitating the shoe by having my hands one below it, one on top of it. I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail on how I put this photo together, but essentially I took this photo and masked out the shoe and then pull it on top of this photo. Now, obviously you can see the background is a little bit messy, so I then photoshopped and generated filled the background, so it was just basically like a plain background. But then it did look a little bit boring, so I did then end up adding some overlays, and this is the result. Okay, so there you have it. That is 5 different ideas that you can do at home if you get bored or if you get snowed in this winter. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. And also there is that new hype button, so if you hit that, once again, I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Safe.